Yeah, but it matters.
But if you define well-being as this glass of water, we're no longer talking about the same thing.
Well, you can define well-being. That's fine. That's what I'm waiting for.
This is what I'm... Well,
you can't do it. You can't define well-being.
Well, then why should I try? I certainly can't do it if you keep telling me I can't do it.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll back off. Go ahead.
Jordan can't help himself. It's getting wild. Did Jordan Peterson ever recover after this debate? Pangburn, YouTube, go subscribe, check out his videos. There was a debate between Matt Dillahunty and Jordan Peterson. Ethics gets brought up, morality, all this tough stuff, and Matt Dillahunty's been debating for years. While Matt's style is obviously not my style, especially with the call-in shows and stuff, he has some really golden moments in engaging on these ideas critically. And let's see what happens to Jordan Peterson in this for him to title it this way.
I actually don't believe in a God, and I could write poetry.
Like you do.
Huh?
But you act like you do. That's why you didn't want to throw Sam off the stage.
No, now you're making a claim. Okay, so I'm telling you I don't believe there's a God. And your response to that is, I really do, because I have a moral sense.
That is a common thing. I know Matt knows all too well.
But my moral sense is utterly without any appeal to a God.
Explicitly.
Or implicitly.
Maybe. That's not so obvious.
Okay, it's really
because you regard Sam Harris as an implicitly valuable entity. Because otherwise you just throw him off the stage. And then the question is, well, just exactly why is he an implicitly valuable entity? What's your metaphysics of that?
I don't think he's implicitly valuable in the sense,
He has to walk into that one, huh?
I don't think he's implicitly valuable in the sense that the universe has implied that there's something explicit about it. For me, morality is far simpler than some people.
No, wait, you sounded doubtful about that. That like
maybe you're the mind reader.
Well, maybe.
Because you've already suggested that despite me sitting here and having talked about this for decades, that I don't believe in God, that I actually do because I have a moral code. But my moral code, which I was
more specific. I said it was because you didn't want to throw Sam off the stage.
Yes, but you didn't even attempt to ask me what.
So Jordan's going to metaphysics to explain morality and try to understand why Matt wouldn't throw Sam off the stage. Proves God?
Why I didn't throw Sam off the stage. Instead, you went to why do you think Sam has implicit value? Because it seems that in your narrative,
I'm willing
that's
to go
the
there.
Only justification.
Well, maybe you were afraid of being punished.
I think no.
Oh,
I think you can have a perfectly acceptable foundation for secular morality, even if it fundamentally centers around selfishness. I'd rather not be thrown off the stage. It's in my best interest to encourage that sort of understanding in others, and therefore I will not throw him off the stage. I would rather not have my stuff stolen, and it's in my best interest to encourage others not to do that, so I will not steal stuff, and I will work with others to ensure that the people who steal stuff are punished. It is in a virtually pragmatic moral system.
Why do you think it's not?
I wish he was a little consistent here, because the way he's been interpreted after assassination of Charlie Kirk, enemy, socially, politically, and all of that, with absolute no empathy to him or that happened to him, some taking it as celebration. Using that moral code that Matt's talking about, you would want to be consistent and say, hey, I don't want that to happen to me because people have a disagreement about my views and think my views are evil or wicked or wrong or whatever, even if they're delusionally mistaken. That could happen, right? You don't want that, so let's be consistent here.
Not in your best interest to have stuff stolen from you or to be thrown off the stage.
Why is it not in my best interest?
Yeah. No, you don't get to think, oh, that's self-evident. It's like nothing's self-evident to the skeptic. Let's keep that in mind.
Oh. Well, so...
Because if we're going to get skeptical here, we might as well go all the way to the bottom.
So for Sam and I, the foundations, and we're not the only ones, but I tend to reference Sam just because if I say this, then somebody will say, well, that's exactly what Sam Harris says, except that, I was given this lecture before he wrote his book. But his book is better than my lecture, so read his book. When I talk about this, I'm talking about well-being is the language that Sam uses.
Oh,
I don't.
Sad.
I don't care whether or not somebody else considers that morality. I would think at a minimum, would you and I agree that
whole well-being?
He can't, you could tell Jordan's already worked up. I gotta react to this other stuff because Jordan's so worked up he can't let Matt finish, and you could tell that's typically what goes on when you're in front of people. There's a show going on, and you're anxious or something. You know what I mean?
Thing, man. As a basis for a metaphysics, that's just a non-starter.
We're not basing metaphysics on it.
Sam is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is, because he's out to maximize well-being.
You can take it up with Sam.
Well, okay, sorry. Do you think I'm wrong about that claim? That's what I understood.
I don't think Sam's saying anything metaphysical about it. I think so. Here's the thing: we are physical beings.
Well, it's his fundamental claim, so it's sort of at the basis of his ethic. And so he says, well, we should work to maximize people's well-being, or at least to. Well, he does a bit more than that because he says we should minimize their suffering.
He's not minimize in this sense of simple consequentialism. Let me do this.
Okay.
We're physical beings in a physical universe, and the laws that dictate how things work in the universe, they are the ultimate arbiters of what is or isn't in our best interest, whether we know it or not. So, for example, so far as I can tell,
then why do you need free will?
I don't think.
Why do you believe in it then? Why do you attribute agency to things if the laws of the universe can
Oh my gosh. It's like definite tension the whole way. No way to get forward in allowing Matt to just say his thing.
To that one point?
Well, yeah, but there was a contradiction. That was
free will isn't relevant to this.
It is if the laws of the universe are what are dictating what's good for us.
No, because if you chop off my head, that is clearly not good for me. And it doesn't matter whether it was an act of free will or if it was my lawnmower.
It's clearly not good for you because you think you're valuable and worth preserving.
Yes.
Okay, that's the issue. Why do you think you're valuable and worth preserving?
Because I am the descendants of people who thought they were valuable and worth preserving, and the ones who didn't think that have killed themselves. But this is not a statement about intrinsic value.
I don't.
It's kind of funny. We saw this in the Kagan debate with William Lane Craig, where Kagan's morality, his ethics, come from him as a rational being, and the most immediate examples of good and bad and how that artificial contract between other rational beings would set up law codes and stuff to help construct a society. And it sounds like Jordan Peterson is more along the William Lane Craig side, where he thinks there needs to be like an ultimate cosmic explanation for morality, ethics, and stuff. So, I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I think when he talks metaphysically, he acts like there needs to be a cosmic reason behind why someone can think in ethics this way. So they're just going to be pedantic about terminology. It's going to be like it never ends. And I think the more common sense approach, if there is something cosmic, we'll never know. At the end of the day, based on the evidence that we can actually measure and look at and observe, I don't think we can know. They just assume that it has to be there in order to even start with the premise of any morality and stuff. And that's kind of like, damn.
No, yes, I think it is. Okay, but I think it is.
Okay. The reason that we talk about this in terms of well-being is because irrespective of whether or not I care about well-being, there are facts about well-being.
Sure, let's hear them, man. Line those suckers up.
If you chop off my head, it's in contradiction to my well-being. I mean, but the point.
No, I wasn't willing to grant that, actually.
Okay.
I'm saying that's a metaphysical.
It's a metaphysical argument that cutting someone's head off is against their well-being. Huh. That's a weird, it seems like some stuff happened before this reaction leading up to whatever tension they got going on.
Presupposition. You're just saying I have to accept that.
No, I'm not telling you at all what to accept.
Sure you are. You're saying that your death would be wrong.
I'm trying to explain what my position is.
Okay, but you said that wouldn't be in accordance with your well-being. Okay, that's a metaphysical statement or philosophical statement. It's not.
I don't know when common sense, reality and non-common sense, works here. I feel like it would be intuitive that most every human, other than the ones who do want to end it all, would think that decapitating or whatever, would be the worst possible well-being or a terrible idea. You know what I mean?
An obvious fact.
That chopping off somebody's head is...
So then you go a step further. Why did they want to end it? Maybe they were suffering and there was all sorts of other reasons why.
Contrary to their well-being.
Depends on how you define well-being.
Sure.
Yeah, but it matters.
But if you define well-being as this glass of water, we're no longer talking about the same thing.
Well, you can define well-being. That's fine. That's what I'm waiting for.
This is what I'm...
You can't do it. You can't define well-being.
Well, then why should I try? I certainly can't do it if you keep telling me I can't do it.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll back off. Go ahead.
Jordan can't help himself. It's getting wild. Damn. Let's see what happens.
I'm all ears.
So, the primary objection to mine and Sam's position that keeps coming back is, why should anybody care about well-being? And we both will acknowledge that this is, in fact, a subjective preference. There are people who are going to care about well-being. There are people who aren't. The second objection is that well-being is not clearly defined. Both of us have acknowledged this. It's not as if we're saying we have all the answers to how to go about living a better life. We're just saying that however we're going to define well-being, which is, I say you can start with a couple of foundations. You can start with death is preferable to life, but you don't get very far that way. And
stop suffering.
Well, no, I'm saying you could start with death is preferable to life, but you don't get very far that way because...
Yeah, you do. You stop suffering. You just die.
Yes.
Right, so you can start with the presupposition.
Except that when you're dead, you're not being, so there's no well-being.
No, well, that's...
I mean, the only circumstance other than someone who has something going on in the mind or an extreme health situation or they're in a tortured situation, they know that ongoing is going to be worse than going. That's the only time I could see someone wanting to justify doing an act like that is to live would be worse than to just die. But I think that's if you have to go to that as the final straw, I don't get why that agreement can't be there over the overall well-being. It doesn't make sense to me.
That's not necessarily the case.
If we're looking for the best things about our life, you can't say death is better.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I know that you can say it.
People do all the time. They do. No, look.
They can express their preference, but their preference can be wrong. How can it possibly be better for your life if you're dead?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was just one little window, I guess, into this overall debate. I'm interested in reacting and seeing the cool stuff. Again, Pangburn's YouTube channel, so make sure you go check him out. Original video will be in the description. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check that bell so that you're notified every time we do a reaction. Comment what your thoughts are about this. Who's right? Where are they right? Explain where they're coming from and stuff. And at the end of the day, I hope to see you next time. And until then, see you then.